Welcome to our webinar, Scaling Success, How Smart Architecture Drives Better Software Outcomes. A webinar offered by the Managing Software Architecture program by the University of Cambridge Online. Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming today and taking the time to attend this session. This webinar is designed for you and how this course can help building your skills and your teams. Today, we have gathered professionals interested in managing software architecture from all over the world, so thank you all for attending. Before we begin, just a couple of quick housekeeping points. The session will run for around 45 minutes, including time for Q&A at the end. Please feel free to use the Q&A function throughout the session. We're recording the session, so we will share the recording and the slides with you afterwards. And finally, do stay with us until the end. We'll be sharing some exciting offerings and discounts. At the end of the webinar, please take a couple of moments to complete a short survey where you can raise any further questions or feedback. We would like you to leave here today informed, excited, and with complete insights into what your MSA learning experience will be. So these are our agenda points. We will introduce you to the Cambridge Technology Suite. We will have an overview of the course outcomes, how this course can contribute to your organization, hear from our course alumni, how to enroll, and answer any questions you may have. Now, I would like to introduce today's panel. First of all is Dr. Jasmin Jahić, our academic lead for the course Managing Software Architecture. And myself, I'm Awadua Gunderson, Senior Business Development Manager. This webinar is delivered by the University of Cambridge Online, so let me explain briefly who we are. The University of Cambridge Online is a new department under the umbrella of the University of Cambridge. We create high-impact online courses that respond to the challenges facing today's professionals, teams, and institutions. As part of the wider university, we benefit from access to world-leading research and faculty. We draw on the fact that we're ranked #1 in research, in business impact, global innovation, and in enterprise. But everything we do is designed with flexibility, accessibility, and professional application in mind. We focus on 4 big themes, which we often call our impact economies. So we're focused on sustainability, environment and policy, technology and data, business and entrepreneurship, and finally, healthcare and life sciences. And these are the areas where the University of Cambridge has global recognition, both academically and through applied research as well. There are also areas where we see significant demand for upskilling and for strategic investment across sectors. In terms of sustainability, for example, we draw on our 13 centers of excellence in sustainability, including the CISL, where we work very closely with. For the technology and data, we host the world's largest AI machines, and we provide leading education in AI and in big data. And in business, we have 10 specialized centers, including the Judge Business School, the Cambridge Enterprise, and the Institute of Manufacturing. And one of the things that makes the University of Cambridge Online quite unique is how we bring together different departments across the university to build each course. So, for example, rather than just working only with the business school or just the faculty of engineering, we draw from across disciplines to create learning that reflects on how problems are actually solved in the real world. And this is a list of our courses. Within our technology suite, we have the data-driven design for customer experience, human-computer interaction, leveraging big data for business intelligence, managing software architecture, advanced customer analytics, product technology road mapping, and we have 2 new courses, which are the semiconductors and the generative AI for software development lifecycle. And this one is delivered also by Dr. Jasmin Jahić and targeting software development roles. We work with learners in many different contexts. So for example, we work with professionals looking to upskill or reskill. We also work with universities who want to embed career-relevant content alongside degree programs. We work with organizations and governments seeking workforce-wide capability building for the public and the private sector as well. We also offer courses that are as short as 6 hours for foundational knowledge and scaled upskilling, up to more advanced courses that are 6 to 8 weeks for mid-senior managers, and all the way up to our bespoke programs that are designed for your organizational need. All our courses are CPD approved, and those are some of the leading voices that we have partnered with to get the accreditation. We work closely with Cambridge academics and in our in-house learning designer team to create courses that balance deep research with real-world application. Everything is built with professional impact in mind, from interactive content to assignments that are genuinely useful, like risk assessment or strategy plans that learners can take straight into their roles. Well, understanding the impact of training is essential, not just during the course, but long after it ends. Through our platform and frameworks like the LTEM, we can track everything from engagement to knowledge gain, to how learners apply what they have learned in real-world scenarios. But most importantly, we look at a longer-term behavioral change and how it drives value across teams and organizations. Now, upon completion, students would receive either a badge or a certificate of achievement or a certificate of completion. And as I've mentioned earlier, all our courses are CPD approved. When we work in partnership, we think about more than than just the course delivery. As we co-design experiences, we align content with your internal priorities, we integrate with your systems where needed, and we support everything from tutor training to impact evaluation. This collaborative approach ensures that the program not only fits your learners, but it also fits your strategy. And in order for it to fit your strategy, we know that every organization is different. And so are their learning needs. That's why our pricing model is designed to be transparent, flexible, and scalable as well. So for example, for group enrollment, we offer discounts that are volume-based. For enterprise clients, we have licensing models that allow scalable access across teams and geographies. And for organizations that are looking to build something more bespoke, we work closely with you to create a customized solution with pricing aligned with your goals, with your timelines, and with your complexity. We're also offering a discount to the attendee of this webinar, so stay with us until the end. Now I would like to hand over to Dr. Jasmin, who will elaborate on how managing software architecture can support your organization.
I hope you can hear me. Okay, I will take that as yes. So, hello everyone, my name is Jasmin Jahić and I'm the author of the course Managing Software Architecture. When it comes to my background, I have a background in robotics and I did my PhD in computer science and software engineering. Before joining University of Cambridge, I spent several years working in Germany at Fraunhofer Institute for Experimental Software Engineering, and I've been moving back and forth and often working in parallel in academia and in industry. So I can say that I'm really somewhere in between these two worlds. Currently, I work as a researcher at the University of Cambridge, but I also collaborate a lot with industry. Now, when it comes to the course itself, it's positioned between the business and the technical sides of the spectrum. So if you think about the business side in software and creating software projects, there is this business management related complexity. That's one part of it. Then on the other side, there is this technical complexity that you have to solve, programming and so on. And then there is this world in between, where it's necessary to take the business goals, the business problems that you're aiming to solve, and translate them into technical solutions. And this is where we position our course. So our course is focusing on understanding the problems that we need to solve with software, translating them into the requirements and so-called drivers, making important architectural decisions, and then using those decisions in driving the implementation of the software. Now, when it comes to the typical challenges that you could solve with the skills and the knowledge that you would gain from this course, here are some examples on these slides. So, for example, many of you have faced an issues of very long time to onboard new members, or you might face issues with having potentially few decisions that you have to make, and there are a few solutions that all seem adequate. So the question is how to choose which one of them seems better for the project that you're working in. Or, for example, there are a bunch of stakeholders and they are having issues understanding each other because they speak different language in terms of the professional career. So, for example, there is a marketing, there are developers, there is a customer, and it's necessary to bring them all together to make sure that they actually understand each other, they're able to communicate and observe the progress of the project. So those are some of the typical problems that you could be able to solve after acquiring the knowledge and the skills from this course. Now, a question for you. I think we have a poll here asking what are the typical challenges that you might be facing, and I think it is multi-choice, so it would be good to see what are the typical challenges that you might be facing in an everyday work. So if you could provide your answers. I hope you're all able to see the poll. Okay, great. Oh, it's a real mix. So I think all the options got the attention, over almost 40%. So the most relevant one is the feature management and balance against the existing design. That's actually something that we really cover in deep. There is also collaboration across the teams. That is a big issue. I guess once you start managing several teams or people in a team, you realize how important this communication is and making sure that everyone get the information that they need in order to proceed, but also that they communicate back the decisions they make that might influence others. So that is something that we heavily explore in this course. Okay, thank you for providing the answer. So just to move on, I guess we can go to the next slide. Okay, so what is it really that this course is covering? So in a nutshell, and I will be providing a bit more details, but this is really the summary of the course. These are the main topics. So from the perspective of the design decisions, how to apply this architecture level thinking to make architectural decisions and also to improve the existing ones, how to enable the communication between different stakeholders. So they can be stakeholders working in the same team, but they can be also stakeholders belonging to different groups, like I said, marketing, technical, and so on. The important skill of an architect is not only how to make architectural decisions, but also to understand what are the trade-offs, because there is no perfect decision. You're always making a trade-off. You're gaining something and you're risking something or sacrificing something. So to be able to argue why this decision is adequate, but also at the same time acknowledging, okay, we know what are the risks, but despite those risks, we're able to go forward. We are willing to go forward, but we know we will have to deal with these risks. And finally, because now it's becoming a big topic across the whole industry, we will also discuss how the new technologies such as AI are influencing the work of the architect. Like it was being previously mentioned, there we also actually have the whole course of the how to integrate AI in the software development lifecycle, but here we at least mention how the AI is influencing the skills that architects are going to need in future, and also recommend some of the tools and the frameworks that might be relevant, including some of the actions of that architects do that might be assisted with the AI. Okay, so when it comes to the execution of the course, this is basically what happens. We have discussed those challenges. So basically we provide the list of the challenges, typical challenges that the architecture can solve. Inspired by this, you can select some of these, or inspired by this, you can list your own challenges at the beginning. So really, what are the challenges that you're hoping to overcome? This usually comes from a daily environment that people have in their companies. And in the context of that challenge, you also select the project. Usually, again, people select the project on which they're currently working. You can take something that is in your current company, but you completely anonymize it. Or you can think also in the sense of creating some random project that sort of resembles the type of the challenges that you want to solve. So you basically have a challenge in the context of the project. And then there is a period of a course where you acquire different knowledges in terms of the practices and the methodologies of dealing with the standard challenges in software architecture. And what you get as an outcome is a document that is detailing how you solve those challenges in the context of those in that project, using the skills and the methodologies and the practices that we discussed throughout the course. We will see in a minute how that works, but that's really the outcome. There is one more thing that I would like to mention here, and that is the experience that we had so far in the previous instances of the courses. That is a really strong interaction between the learners. So often what happens is there are many discussions where people are recommending type of the solutions that they have, tools, frameworks, and so on, sharing the challenges that they have. So there is this very strong community feeling and also very strong community knowledge sharing, just something that we have observed from the previous instances of the course. Okay, so now a bit more detailed organization of the course, execution of the course. So there are 6 modules in the course. In a minute, we will see what they are. So the course is organized in a sense that you go through one of the modules, you receive so-called module task, assigned module task, AMT. You complete the task, there is a template how to do it. You complete it in your context, in the context of the problem that you've selected and so on. Then you submit that task and you are assigned so-called reviewer from one of your from one of your peers. That person reviews your work and you review someone else's work. So this is a practice that we have introduced so that it enables you to spot the challenges in other people's work, so you are not really repeating those same things, and also helps us to indicate what are the challenges that people are struggling with. After the course, so basically when you go through all the 6 modules, you receive another template, which is for your final project assignment. And in this final project assignment, you try to integrate what you want from your assigned module tasks, and you create one report that you can use on day 1 after you complete the course in your company. So that is our goal. You start with the problem that you're trying to solve. We separate it into smaller problems to give you templates and help you solve individual problems. And when you're done with it, you assemble everything in one for project assignment, and then you have a document for day 1. And also I would like to emphasize that unlike the module tasks, so the academic lead and the tutors, we actually review your final project assignment, so you get a very detailed feedback about the things that you could further improve. Okay, now when it comes to the contents, in the first module, we really try to put everyone on the same page in terms of the software engineering. So sometimes we have people who are excellent software developers. Sometimes we have those who have some experience with software architecture. There are also those who are project managers. They sort of understand the software, but their main work is on the project management. So we just want to make sure that in the first module, we share the definitions, the terms, the basic concepts, so you're all able to follow all the other subsequent modules. Then we move to the understanding what are the tasks that are within the scope of software architecture. It's often the case that people don't even understand, oh, okay, I have a problem, someone needs to be dealing with this. I didn't even know that this is actually within the scope of software architecture and that there are common solutions for this. So that's what we discuss. Then we move into the software documentation, software architecture documentation, as we have observed that many problems can be solved with the explicitly documenting parts of the process, parts of the reasoning, parts of the decision, and so on. Here we really try to focus on the documentation that is minimal in a sense that it contains very focused view on what you need, because often there is a challenge that people focus on creating too much documentation, then it's hard to maintain it and so on. Finally, when it comes to the software architecture topics, we deal with the idea of the common solutions for the common problems, so-called architectural patterns, architectural styles, and so on. But we also mention those solutions which are suboptimal that should be avoided. So once you finish with these 4 modules, the question is, how do you put this into the practice? So we have a module that discusses how to take, for example, Agile, Scrum, Waterfall, or other methodologies, and take all of this and put it really into the practice, because if you just create software documentation, you have these practices and do it one time, there is not really much benefit. So there is a need for so-called continuous architecture. And then we discuss how to do this. So once you have all of these things done, so basically we covered the technical part, the question is, how do you really introduce this to your organization? And the final module, we discuss how to identify potential benefits and the potential costs for introducing this to your organization, so you can actually go to your management and say, hey, I have a plan, I have a document, I know we have this problem, I know what needs to be done, here's the plan how to solve that problem. Okay, so when it comes to the evaluation of your work, participation-related activities are around 40% of the grade, so that means quizzes, reviews, and so on. And for your final project assignment, which will be reviewed by the academic lead, so tutors and me included, you get 60% of the grade. Okay, now who should be taking this course? Well, in our experience, it's very suitable for senior software engineers, so people who have a few years of experience and have a strong software engineering skills. For those who are junior solution and software architects, I would even say the medium solution and software architects, because there are many concepts that are discussed that might not be well known to everyone. Also, technical project managers who have a certain experience with software, CI/CD, DevOps engineers who want to move into understanding of the bigger picture of the software, test engineers, and so on. When it comes to the types of the roles that we already had, so it pretty much corresponds to this. We had many senior software engineers who want to move into the role of an architect, solution and software architects who try to improve their skills, and then all the other parts with the, I would say, spike in terms of the technical project managers who are organizing their teams, but also want to understand how to actually architect software. Okay, so I would like now to move forward and share with you an opinion from one of our alumni. We can go to the next slide. Yes, so Gonzalo Soto, he's working in Australia, and this is his feedback on the course. So the most valuable takeaway for me is the newfound confidence to advocate for the importance of clear documentation and sound architecture to non-technical stakeholders. And this is something that we really emphasize. So solving the technical problem is just one step in achieving what you want to achieve. The other steps are actually convincing the management, and by convincing, really listing the benefits that you're going to get from having something explicitly documented and presenting a plan how to actually do that. Okay, so I think now we can move forward with the explanation of the learning experience and the type of the technology that we use here.
Thank you very much, Jasmin. Let's talk about the learning experience, and we'll now play a short video that will give you a flavor of the course design.
Our courses sit within our virtual learning environments called Canvas. Canvas provides a clear platform to navigate and engage with content in order to create an effective learning experience. As you enter the learning management system, you'll be met with the home page for the course, with easily navigatable tiles for each of the course's modules. Each course starts with a Module 0 that is open to view a week before the course launch and gives you the opportunity to find out more about your course mates, the specific learning outcomes and content journey, and information about assessment, alongside more general information on navigating the LMS and where to get help. We can also view the modules via the module screen. Now let's dive in and show you what a module looks like. As you enter a module, you'll be introduced to the content and specific aims by a recorded introduction from Jasmin. Jasmin's presence is consistent throughout the course as he guides you through the content and appears in our live sessions where you have the opportunity to ask questions on the course content and the application to your area of interest. Discussion forums set up the theme for the module and give opportunity to reflect, share and comment on your peers' ideas, once again strengthening this notion of a cohort-based course. As you enter the main content, you'll experience a wide range of modes and methods to engage with the concepts of the course. These include animations and other video formats, formative interactive comprehension checks, stylistic curated graphics, and other engaging on-page elements that not only bring the course to life, but have been specifically designed to optimize how you navigate through the course content, ensuring the actual learning experience is both as intuitive and exploratory as possible. There are opportunities for reflection and application within your practice provided throughout the modules. Each module has a quiz for you to check your understanding of the core concepts, alongside assessments set up to capitalize on developing a collaborative environment where you learn and network with your peers through the sharing and peer review of module tasks. Canvas also allows you to populate your learner profile with images, bios, and social network links, enabling you to connect further with your fellow participants.
Brilliant. Now, what are the next steps? So, if you wish to book online, please scan the QR code and you'll be able to book the online, whether for yourself or you're booking for other team members in your organization. Brilliant. And now I would love to connect with you. So if you have further questions or would like to discuss the group discounts on the screen, there's a link to book an appointment, and this link will be shared in a follow-up email after the webinar, or you can just simply scan the QR code and book an appointment with me. You can also contact me via my email, awa.dua-gunderson@cambridge.org. And course enrollments can be done online, and you can pay either by card or by requesting a quotation. Our next course actually is set to start on the 13th of October, so you still have time to enroll. The courses are running every 3 months after that. Now, if you haven't already, please use the Q&A section to send in your questions about the course, and we will answer them live. Let's go to the questions. So starting with, hi, could you share some stakeholder communication techniques that you have been working in the past, especially in large organizations?
Right. Sure. So when it comes to the communication techniques, we focus mostly on diagrams because we have observed that visual communication, visual representation of the issue, of the challenges of design seems to be the most effective for humans. Now, what in particular we're focusing on, as an architect, we empower you to understand not only who are the main stakeholders and also what are their needs, but also to adjust the views, so-called architectural views, to create the diagrams with the levels of details that those stakeholders can understand, including the graphical elements. So how to customize so-called modeling profiles that you have one diagram, one view on the system that marketing can understand. Then another one that, for example, is only clear to the developers. But then when you have the meetings between these different stakeholders, that you're also able to create diagrams where their concerns are taken into account, the language that they understand is taken into their account, so they can actually have a proper communication using those diagrams.
Brilliant. Another question, what is the main learning outcome of taking this course?
Right, so I think we discussed that during the presentation. So from one side, it helps you with the skills of really making decisions. And I know this is quite a tricky thing as an architect. The main point of an anxiety is, if I make an architectural decision, is it a good one? We prefer the term adequate one because you can take so many architectural decisions that can be adequate. They all come with a different trade-offs. So we sort of help with techniques that compare these decisions and try sort of to predict the outcome of these decisions. And then there is this whole thing of software architecture documentation. What we communicate in this course is having too much documentation actually can be bad as not having a documentation at all. So we really are trying to focus on documentation that is beneficial, that can be maintained efficiently, that the maintenance and creation of that documentation can be integrated in your, for example, Agile Scrum development lifecycle. So those are two things, and then really using these things for the communication between the stakeholders and for making sure that software is, and this I really have to emphasize, is of an adequate quality, because often the software is or contains the functionalities that we are trying to achieve, but then often there is a quality issue, either internal quality with the maintainability and so on, or external quality such as performance or security issues and so on. So using those explicit documents, diagrams, practices to make sure that everyone understands each other in the project, and also to have a software of adequate quality.
Brilliant. We have a very interesting question, actually. How do you think that AI can impact software architecture?
Well, like I briefly indicated, that is a big question now in industry. So there are different dimensions to this question. The first one is really how AI will impact everyone in software engineering industry. And as I have mentioned, we actually have a dedicated course for that. But when it comes to this course, what we do mention is what are the skills now that architects will need in the age of AI? What are some of the actions that architects can use AI to assist with? So where AI can assist them with in this set of the actions. What are maybe some of the actions that are getting obsolete, but what are also the new challenges that software architects are getting when they start using AI? And one of the things that we emphasize is what is actually the minimum set of the skills that as an architect you need so you can use AI in an efficient manner. When I say efficient, that means these days you can solve many issues with AI, but the problem is, are you creating more work for someone else? So that's something that we discuss in the course.
Another question, does this course include some requirements elicitation methods and requirements tracking?
Right. So I said that in the context of this course, we are discussing how to understand the problem domain. So our assumption is that someone already does first iteration of the requirements engineering. That means tries to collect wishes and concerns from stakeholders. But the tricky part is not all those wishes and concerns, which we usually call requirements, are relevant for the architecture. So we have additional step called architectural drivers. What is it that architects really need to know in order to architect the system? And unfortunately, that's often not in the requirements. So in that sense, we do that additional step of understanding what really drives the architecture. And there we focus on the quality, on the functional properties, on the constraints, and on the business drivers.
Great. Another question, what are some of the real-world scenarios used in the course for the learning experience?
Right, so we have several things here, so I will try to group them. So when it comes to the real world scenarios, what we discuss are really the real world problems, and a set of the problems that I listed in the slides, they are really real world problems, from onboarding new people to discussion between the stakeholders and so on and so on. Then the examples that we have in the course, they are examples from a real world project. So the diagrams that we have, the documentation that we have, they are from the real world project. The next thing is so as learners, or most of you come from companies, so you bring the real world problems that we try to solve during the course. So it's not, okay, let's go through the course, and then after the course, I will try to solve some of these issues. No, really throughout the course, you come with the real problems, and you try to have, by the end of the course, a document that is solving your problems. That is what you're trying to achieve here. And then finally, software architecture is a really wide field. So saying, okay, here is a book or a paper that lists everything, that's not really going to work, because there are so many challenges within the scope of the software architecture. Now, what usually happens is that learners request, okay, can you point us to a case study, industry case study, some report of a similar issue, of solving a similar issue that we have, and that's what we do throughout the course. So it's, in a way, that discussion is in a way driven by the learners.
Brilliant. Back to diagramming, what specifically do you use as a diagram model?
So I'm not really sure what do you think here by the diagram model. Maybe you can further elaborate. If you think by the tools to create the diagrams, we just recommend a couple of tools. We are not focusing on a specific tool. If you talk about the diagram models in a sense of a different views, we do mention different views, such as, for example, C4 view and some others. But what we try to really promote throughout the course is there are all of these techniques. Some of them are used widely in practice, some of them are academic. But what we try to promote is try to understand them, how they work, and then create your own customized views on architecture. And why customized? So the documentation that you create is really beneficial, so you don't create waste, so you can easily maintain it, and you get most of the benefits out of it.
All right, we have another question about prerequisites. So what are the minimum prerequisites in terms of knowledge to attend this course? The attendee is asking, I'm a project manager without an academic background in software development or software architecture. Would it still be possible to follow the course effectively without this kind of background?
So to start with, what you have said as your background, that sounds like a really good match. I would assume that you want to learn more if someone is a project manager and doesn't have the background in software engineering. That depends. So if you're a project manager and you are managing software teams and you do not have such a strong background, formal background in software engineering, you still will be able to follow. The reason for this is if you're a project manager in unrelated fields, so maybe not software engineering, somewhere else, you might be struggling with some of the terms. We do have the first module, which is really about getting everyone on the same page. So if you're managing any software-related teams, I think that should be okay.
Brilliant. So we have 4 minutes left. So we'll take the last 3 questions, if that's all right. Mm-hmm. Can the course be applied to buy and analytics?
I'm not sure what does that mean, to be honest. If you can retype the question, that would be good.
All right, so we can go to the next question. What will be the normal duration for the online training? Is it the schedule? And is the schedule flexible?
Right, so this is how it's organized. Each module is usually 1 week. That means at the beginning of the week, you get the access to the materials and so on. Even actually before that, so you can, if you want to, you can go, you can move forward and faster. So you get the access to the materials, you go through the materials as been shown in the video. There are some things that you read, some interactive stuff, some videos that you see. And then at the end of the week, there is a live session, which is 1 hour. During this live session, we discuss the questions that you communicate to us during the during the week on some that you have on spot. We discuss some of the content that was there, how things are related to other modules and so on. So even if you are unable to attend the live session, so clearly you can consume this material at any point. So the only critical part really is the live session. We record that. You can send us questions in advance so we can discuss that even if you're not attending the live session. We have tutors in the course who are quite fast in replying to all the questions, either organization-wise or the content-wise. So it's quite flexible in that sense. What is not flexible is the overall timeline of the course, because the course only lasts that many weeks, and that's it.
Brilliant. And one last question, could you please share what benefits this course offers in terms of maintaining legacy software and also supporting migration to a new system?
Right, so this is a really good question, quite hard question. So what kind of support it can offer here? It can and it does support the architects to identify what are the key decisions or what are the type of the key architectural decisions that need to be captured in the old system, in the legacy system, capture them and make sure that the new system is compliant to those decisions. So in addition to that, identifying relevant stakeholders and making sure that you're able to extract the knowledge that you have. For this, we have templates and the practices. So there is a smooth transition. If you have sources of information, sources of data, there is a smooth transition from the legacy to the new system. The challenge that it doesn't solve, and I don't think anyone really can solve, is if you do not have those information, that data. So if you don't know anything about the legacy system, we can recommend some of the tools that help you to analyze or try to extract the architectural decisions, or try to help you to think as someone who designed that system in the first place. But then that's just the potential empirical statistical knowledge.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Jasmin. And thanks to everyone who joined our session today. Apologies if we did not have time to answer your questions today. And as a reminder, there will be a short survey when you exit the webinar, which will give you the opportunity to ask questions if you haven't already. Please take a couple of moments to provide us with some feedback, and look out for the follow-up email later this week, which we will share. We will also share with it the recording and the webinar, and some useful links that we have shared and we've mentioned today. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.